The Mohammed Ali Centre is a culturally significant and iconic building in Birmingham's history. It's a place where the African Caribbean community really for decades had found a sense of purpose. Unfortunately, it's fallen on very hard times and it seems that the place is beset by bad luck. The City Council has earmarked it for demolition in just 6 weeks' time. I met earlier with Gerald Nembhard from a group called Infinity to discuss what positive steps we could take to save the building, to get the issue on the map, and to perhaps build a petition to make sure that this building survives for many generations to come. The now derelict and dilapidated Mohammed Ali Centre. I'm here with Gerald Nembhard, who's leading a group. Do you want to tell us a bit more about the group and what our vision is?
The group's named itself the Infinity Community Development Foundation, ICDF. Because we firmly believe that everyone has potential, the community has potential, and a building of this nature has potential, infinite potential. And so, you know, we've seen it derelict for so long, it's time that, like the phoenix, it raised from the ashes.
Absolutely. I remember myself, you know, getting on the bus, living in Handsworth, coming through town and seeing something happening here every weekend, almost every day there was some kind of cultural happening.
That's right.
And tell us a bit what it was like, you know, in those days.
As a spotty teenager back then, I was attending all sorts of functions, youth group meetings. I even recall a couple of weddings that I attended here as well. So there was all sorts that were happening back in the day, and unfortunately that's a distant memory. It's just a real shame that, you know, that life and vibrancy isn't there now.
Muhammad Ali himself visited the centre on three occasions?
3 occasions, that's right, that's right. I missed them all, unfortunately.
I mean, but obviously just an area like this and the name and what the building stood for was it's iconic. It's something that held a community together. It's something that gave a community a focus.
Absolutely.
And I remember in the first, you know, instances when we were talking about this, it's almost like it's an emblem, a symbol for the refraction, the disintegration of our community right across Birmingham. Now we're known for postcode rivalry and gangs and all this disintegration. I mean, do you think that the resuscitation of this building could be like the phoenix for our whole community as well?
Absolutely.
In terms of its location and its proximity to the Flyover Show, it is the perfect expression of all of the ideals and values that the Flyover Show was set up to preserve. It represents the opportunity to have a year-long incubus of creative ideas, and it could be the central touch point from which local artists and people who don't feel that they've got anything to believe in this community could actually contact people right around the world, hone their crafts, and really meet with their role models. This will be the second year now that we're doing the Flyover Show, and in terms of meters, it's not, you know, it's not even a 100-meter dash from the flyover right here in the Mohammed Ali Centre here.
Certainly.
If we needed any more expression of demand, we had nearly 2,000 people coming out last year just to come and support art. How wanted do you think this community centre is?
It's absolutely vital. It's absolutely vital. I mean, when news came out about the possible demolition of the building, the outcry was there. The council had to listen and had to change its mind. And now we're at this point where there is a further opportunity to put some concrete plans in place to ensure that the legacy that this building represents will not be lost.
I mean, it's so important, a sense of history and knitting a sense of community as well. And if you're not aware of what happened even a decade before, let alone 50 years before, you're quite groundless as a young person.
Absolutely.
And it's quite funny, from doing the Flyover Show last year where we had, you know, so many people, and also a troupe of 30 or so saxophone players from right around the area, and just young people who play an instrument. I've had submissions from parents just right around the block, because I live very, very close to this area. When are you going to do something like this again? Because my son doesn't have anything to do after school. We want workshops. We want it to be a regular jazz school, or somewhere where they can go and paint, somewhere where they can go and create. You know, and there's a scarcity of venues. There's a demand, there's a desire. There are the people that could fulfill it. I mean, I'm not the only saxophone player in the area. There are 2 others that I know, and one is in exactly the same block as myself. So, you know, in terms of like doing workshops regularly, there's that demand. In terms of all the creatives that are going to be already in the area, there are places, you know, there'll be a need for them to come and display work here, whether they're visual artists or not. You know,
the centre represents all that and more. We see it as a place for education, because sadly our community's got that legacy now, where there's that cycle of failure within it. We want to raise our aspiration, raise our standards, and then move on to celebrating our achievements, you know. And we want to be able to say that at least part of that story happened at the Mohammed Ali Centre and kick-started the ambition and the aspiration of our community.
I'd love to see this area and this building as a conduit to the world, rather than feeling, oh, we have to go to London to get recognised, or we have to go to the city centre to... Why can't we have those resources and all of the contacts that we have pooled, and here is a central point of contact?
Well, I always maintain Birmingham is the centre of the universe.
Absolutely.
The youth of this community in particular can set the country alight, you know, and let the world see that, you know, some great things comes out of this area.
What are some of the more practical steps that people can take to, you know, to take some evasive action to make sure that this building is saved?
First and foremost, take some pride. Take some pride. Believe that something good can come out of this, and not allow it to remain in the state that it's in. ICDF, we've got a petition going on as we speak. People need to sign up to that. There's an email address that people can use and send in their comments. It's infinitycdf@hotmail.co.uk.
We've got 7 weeks, 6 weeks?
Yeah.
6 weeks to present a viable business model to make this building, you know, a self-sustaining entity as well.
Absolutely.
But yeah, on the Flyover Show day itself as well, which is the 13th of June, there are all kinds of like specific things that we're planning to do to, not just to bring the issue to people's awareness, but also to fundraise for the day. I'd exhort you, if you enjoyed the show last time and just came and bought a patty, you know, we're going to have a corner on the day as well that we can be, you know, fundraising specifically for the Mohammed Ali Centre.
Absolutely.
Also, there's all kinds of artistic things. Now this kind of happened independently, but it's perfectly timed. I always wanted to prove the economic case for art.
Absolutely.
You know, people always say, oh, it needs to be subsidised and it's highfalutin and it needs to be on its plinth. Well, part of that's true, but there's an immense demand really for creativity in this time of an economic recession and a slowdown.
Certainly.
It's actually the creatives that will bring about, I believe, that.
They're a big part of the economy. So.
People are just probably not aware of how much creative energy there is in this area. There are rehearsal studios there are recording studios, there are record shops, there are galleries, there are, you know, and so many creatives who don't have a retail outlet or a place to express themselves creatively. So on the day, one of the things that we're going to do, we're going to be collecting up a lot of old doors, old bits of furniture, white painting them, and then commissioning live artists, graffiti heads, to turn them into beautiful works of art.
Fantastic.
You know, and some of the best in the country to do that. So that when we auction them on an Etsy site, we'll be fundraising for art itself, for the artists who created it, and also for the Mohammed Ali Centre in the process.
Fantastic.
You know, so come with some disposable income in pocket. Don't just buy a patty, buy, you know,
I'll buy 2
art.
patties.
Exactly. And we're actually going to be kind of trying to monitor exactly how much is spent on art. Not just to fundraise on that day, but also to prove the case for the demand that's there in the community. And it's time to really bring it out, you know, to celebrate it, not be embarrassed about what we do, you know, to really, really enjoy it.
Certainly.
So yeah, come on that day with a view to resurrecting this building, to making a statement about how much art means to you, you know what I mean? And if we get 3,000 people here on the day, that's 3,000 people who'd be interested in seeing this building alive again.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the other issues that ICDF is looking at, because we want to form as a company so that we can take on the responsibilities of management and what have you, but we're also expecting people to be members of that organisation. And so in due course, I'm hoping probably about a month or so from now, we'll be letting people know how they can become a member, and the little bit that they probably subscribe with will again help build a kitty, and then we can get this building back to where it needs to be.
To that
and beyond.
Well, thanks very much, Gerald.
You're welcome. More than welcome.
Yes, onwards and upwards.
Absolutely.
All right.